Absolute lunatic Mark Millar is back. You may know him from adaptations of his work like Kick-Ass, Civil War, Kingsman, or Superman Red Son. He's a heavy hitter in the comic industry, known for writing stories that show absolute depravity. If you've been subscribed to me for a while, you'll be familiar with the character we're talking about today.
Nemesis.
Calling Nemesis a supervillain is an understatement, as he's truly vile and could give nearly any other villain from the big two a run for their money. Just to jog your memories though, in the first Mark Millar McNiven run, he impregnates a woman with her biological brother who's gay's seed, and also implanted a device that would either leave her infertile or possibly dead if the baby was attempted to be aborted. Nemesis did that to get at one guy, but it's also a smaller act when compared to the mass killings he usually does. His last solo run was Nemesis Reloaded from 2023, which was a soft reboot of the character. But don't worry, he was also a complete piece of shit in that too. He puts a bounty on all cops in LA, causing normal people to murder them for the money, which isn't even the worst thing he did in that story. I'd really recommend you go read it. And as always, this is not a replacement for the story. This is just me going through it and what I've taken away from it. So if you enjoyed this video, or if you get absolutely disgusted and need to see the full thing for yourself, go out there and get it. But light spoilers, at the end of that run, he doesn't get his comeuppance. Instead, he joined a secret society of evildoers called
The Fraternity.
This was for the huge crossover,
Big Game.
which was all of Mark Millar's properties crossing over. Everything from Wanted to Jupiter's Legacy. Basically, in the world, there used to be heroes all over the place. But a long time ago, the villains banded together and defeated the heroes. And from then on, they controlled the world from the shadows. But since then, new heroes are popping up. In this new shared continuity, characters from the Ambassadors and Kick-Ass now exist. Oh, and there's vampire wrestlers too? I'm not so certain, I haven't read that one yet. One day I hope I can make a giant video about every single comic that is a part of this crossover, but that day is not today, because we're focused on the asshole in white. So how is he connected? Well, the fraternity asked him to join, as he's an evil piece of shit, so he would be a perfect fit on their team. He gets some powers and ends up killing a lot of the heroes, violently. It's solved in the end by some time-traveling shenanigans, and the heroes prevail in the end. This leaves Nemesis, real name Matthew Anderson, paralyzed from the neck down in bandages. This is where we catch back up with the prick. Starting in July 2024, written by Mark Millar, with art by, sorry if I butchered this name, Valerio Giangiordano. Nemesis Rogues Gallery picks up where we left him, paralyzed from the neck down. Matthew Anderson is now being treated in a hospital with armed guards. The staff have also fashioned his bandages to resemble his mask. Why would they do this? I don't know. People get their kicks in strange ways sometimes. We see this uppity nurse feeding him, and he mentions that Nemesis loves eating chicken whole, bones included. Well, after lights out, another nurse comes in and empties a bag of goods onto Nemesis. The most prominent item is a phone with a bullet hole in it. Now, to all you Batman-eared readers out there, you probably already deduced who this guy is. He's the father of a victim of Nemesis who's come to get some get back. The cops gave me these in a plastic bag. It was everything she had when she died. Sounds like a fair swap. This guy sucks. Nemesis then says that he has friends coming to get him tonight. How does he know this? Well, if he was Batman, would we even have to ask? Probably not, because, well, I mean, he's Batman. The guy then doesn't proceed to shoot Nemesis immediately because he's explaining how his gun works and how he got into the hospital. What the fuck are you eating? Take a guess at what he's eating. A. Gum. B. My patience. C. Chicken bones. D. Oh fuck, it was a chicken! So yeah, the special ops, or whatever, come to get Nemesis. They kill everyone except the uppity nurse who says that Nemesis likes him. So they drag him to the boss to decide what to do with him. Blind him. What? Do what you want, I don't give a fuck. This guy fucking sucks. The hospital is then blown up. Were there any other staff or patients in the building? Maybe before, but not anymore. Nemesis is brought to his old master, who then gives him a deal to bring back his strength through magic or some shit. They lower the poo-poo man into the poo-poo water, which is then filled with blood from several men who are then killed via throat slitting. The boss man says that to fix Nemesis, they will need months and 50 lives per day. Mark Millar, why do you do this? We catch back up with the blinded nurse who is approached by people who offer him the chance to get revenge on Matthew Misunderstood Anderson. But cut back to Matthew. His body is working again, but he is now poor as his assets were seized after big game. So his next goal is to get his body and money back up to full strength. He goes through a magic door and meets back up with his butler, Margot, the evil equivalent of Alfred. We saw her at the end of Nemesis Reloaded. He handed a gun to two old people and told them that whoever is left will be his butler. Margot's a demon in human skin, so she shoots the other guy immediately. So this is the kind of people that we're gonna be dealing with again. Now that we know his goal, you're probably thinking, what is Nemesis' first order of business? Well, just as Batman has done several times before, it's time to get a sidekick. In All-Star Batman, Batman abducts a young Dick Grayson moments after witnessing his parents die and then forces him to eat rats in a dark cave. So how bad can Nemesis' Robin be? Well, he's in jail in Rio, awaiting trial. A man in the cell over tells him that there's a key in his stomach and that there will be a gun taped under his seat in court. Moments later, in the court, he vomits and manages to undo his cuffs. He grabs the gun and then blasts the judge to Kingdom Come. Just before this, the judge does give us some much needed context on who our evil Robin is. Real name Pedro Hernandez. In and out of detention centers since he was 6, multiple murders, you get the main idea. He's a model alpha male on the Sigma grind set or whatever. We don't know how old he is, but we can assume he's like in his late teens to early 20s. Anyways, back to his escape. We get the first joke from the 4th book that I've read of Nemesis that I've actually enjoyed. Pedro shoots the glass and runs to jump through it, but he just slams against it and falls. Notice how I like this and nobody's dying? Nemesis tells him to go a couple floors down, to which he jumps off with some cops to use as a landing pad. Nemesis comes smashing through in a police car and picks up his new ward. The fucker then asks the kid to grab the wheel for a second. Why? So he can hang out of the car to cut a cop's legs off. Mark Millar. Fuck you. They escape, blah blah, and we get another joke I actually found a little funny because I have poor taste. So, in one of Nemesis' safe houses, they get a moment to talk, and Pedro asks if him breaking Pedro out is for a weird sex thing. Stupid joke, but hey, it got me for a second. However, moments later, after making an oath to be Nemesis' partner, Nemesis says that now they can bang. This one didn't even get a smile. All the goodwill, the minuscule amount that they had built up, gone in an instant. Anyways, let the training begin. This part I found interesting as it does give some insight into how Nemesis thinks. It kind of reminds me of how when Batman has a Robin, he lightens up and learns how to be more open and depend on other people. He explains that from now on, Pedro needs to dress to impress, as that will make him more unsuspecting of crime. Who do you think stole your watch? The homeless guy who approached you from behind asking for money, or the guy wearing expensive clothes worth more than your watch walking down the street next to you? I thought that this was really interesting, truthfully. Next, we get a Batman moment of him dropping onto the hood of a moving car, only for the driver to then be shot in the back of the head. Pedro asks who they just killed was, and to his surprise, Nemesis removes his mask and his face is the same as the corpse in the car. He was a tech billionaire. So basically Nemesis just killed Jeff Bezos and now has his face. So his fortune has returned and we're only like a third through the story. They return to their new manor, greeted by the asshole gender-bent Alfred who calls them pricks, and Nemesis says it's party time. Whores and blow for everyone. We also get a taste of their plan, to rob the rich, which at face value I'm all about. Too many modern Batman stories are all about Joker being a sadistic murderer / horror machine, so a simpler story about an elaborate heist should be fun. But this is Nemesis, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be more elaborate or if he's just gonna murder a ton of people. Then we're greeted by the reveal of Pedro's costume and name. Rookie. Fucking badass. The first thing that came to mind was the costume of Bruno's boyfriend from the movie Bruno. No idea why, they don't look anything alike, but yeah, it is what it is and fuck it, we ball, let's go. Issue 2 ends with us catching up with the blinded nurse who now has mechanical eyes and fists, so he's basically a super now. He also has access to weapons and is ready to hunt down Nemesis, but the only thing I could think of was in
Nemesis Reloaded,
where he fights this teleporting superpowered chick and still ended up beating her. This guy has a loose packet of chips, and I have absolutely no faith that he's gonna be able to defeat Nemesis and cum stain. Speaking of, Short Round is now waking up with a hangover, and we're greeted with the third joke I found funny. Rookie asks if Nemesis had the sex workers that he had slept with killed. I found this amusing because that does seem like something the evil bastard would do, but the next bit took me by complete surprise. Nemesis has a respect for sex workers. He gave them breakfast and sent them away well paid. The real Batman and Nemesis line up on this pretty well, albeit for different reasons. Margot the Alfred Bird then offers Rookie a brandy smoothie to cure his hangover. And I couldn't help but think how much better this comic would be if they were just drunk for the whole thing, and they struggled more because they were just wasted all the time.
Your attempts at my riddles have been half-hearted. Not sure if you're lazy or just retarded.
My last intrusive thought was that Pedro might actually be pretty young because seeing his costume beside Nemesis's is weird. Pedro is either short as shit or Nemesis is tall as fuck. Never mind, getting off track. Back to it. They're on a plane, and I hate to nitpick, but seeing Rookie running on the roof of a plane, even with magnetic boots, still had me thinking of Tom Cruise. Or that YouTube short showing the pilot who got sucked out of the plane. I'm about to nut, oh no, A couple pages later, and the plane is going down, and Rookie says that he's scared, and Nemesis says not to worry, as he's got his back. Honestly, this is where I started to enjoy the book a lot more. Having a little asshole for the main guy to take care of and show some compassion to really helps me like this guy more. And another joke I found funny doesn't hurt. Where's the plane going to crash? Do I look like I give a shit? Fuck me. Another joke I found funny.
Invitation to Adrian Ziegel's environmental ball, sir. Shot filing the trash under bullshit.
Yeah, I know that accent was fucking awful. And come on now, these are low balls, but they're hitting. For me at least. Later on, before the environmental ball, we see the dynamic Dick Eaters meeting up with a rich guy who's at the event and chatting with Nemesis. And Robin has the thought that the rich are dogs, trying to change the world, but they also still suck as they're just like us, with carnal tastes that are the driving force of whatever they do. In this case, the guy who is doing the charity work is only doing it to get girls or something. Oh, and he doesn't pay his taxes. Ooh, tax the rich. Anyways, during the party, a mother and daughter duo then offer to take the disguised Nemesis and Rookie in the back to knock boots, but a man is watching, and we can hear him say that they took the bait. Something is going on here. I mean, come on, a mother-daughter duo that are going to sleep with a grown man in his ward? I mean, yeah, the rich are weird, but come on, this is like...
That was something. I am become meme. Yeah, pretty much.
Whatever, man, shit. Cut to them, fully costumed up and ready to start their heist. They head down, we hear from Nemesis that he has the diamond or whatever they're stealing, and that it was easy, even though he had to kill a couple of guards. I find it interesting that we don't see their deaths, and that goes a long way making me not feel like shit for reading and seeing death trash. But on the other hand, it brings me bundles of joy to see Nemesis get his arm chopped off by a saw. Baby! Booyah, we got him. It was done by the nurse who got fucking blinded. Let's fucking go! Wait, hold on a second. This isn't Nemesis. This is some asshole cab burglar. And now Nemesis and Rookie are here? Oh, This should be an easy escape for Dickhead and Bastard, but the nurse and his squad brought some tech that is able to get Nemesis on the ground. He then gets a well-deserved stab, along with the lines that felt good. You stabbed me in the eyes, man. I was only ever kind to you. Unluckily, Nemesis then gets the upper hand and realizes the squad of killers is comprised of relatives of people he's killed. It's quite nice of him to remember who he's killed, actually. Anyways, the Spec Ops guys who came to hunt him down are just cannon fodder to get Nemesis in position to get sniped, but Rookie is able to waste a shark, a species that is mercilessly fished for their fins, is now a victim of a bullet, sparing our dastardly Dick. Now we get the setup, which makes this the best Nemesis comic. The two then head into the building to get the sniper, but he's gone. Using his detective/serial killer vision, he sees that the building they're in is surrounded and hundreds of guards and security are coming up. I'm not sure what you want from this story, but for me, I want to see this guy get what's coming to him, but it needs to be earned. Having him depowered and not completely omniscient as he seemed in the first two runs raises the stakes. Also, he isn't Batman. There's no status quo to keep. Anything could happen to these two. They also have the odds completely stacked against them. Despite that never being an issue so far, this setup is great, and I can't wait to see what they do to escape. He destroyed the building, and they're free, and Robin has the jewel. Mark Millar. Why do you do this? Did I say that this was the best Nemesis comic? Well, it is. So anyways, back to Mr. Can't See because my eyes got stabbed out. He's chatting with one of the guys who recruited him, and we learned that he was the original Rookie. Not Mr. Eye Stabby, I mean the guy that recruited him. This is in line with Batman 2, as it's no secret he has had multiple Robins. I mean, one dies and fuck it, he'll just get a new one. Same with Nemesis, I guess. He even makes them wear the same costume. His original Rookie's origin is also nearly one-to-one with All-Star Batman. In Seoul, South Korea, this kid stabbed a guy in a gang fight, which is basically the same as having parents who are acrobatics. Then, after being arrested and stuffed in a cop car, Nemesis steals the car and the kid, eventually making him into his sidekick. All of this happened before the events of Nemesis Reloaded, before the world knew the name Nemesis. So that all checks out. All good things come to an end though, and so is the case with this kid, because the guy says that after a while, Nemesis must have gotten bored with him, so he set him up and got him locked up. He didn't stay locked up forever, as he escaped and is now on a quest for revenge against Nemesis. So this guy, named Sang, despite being a villain, has now seemed to turn it around? Sort of. I mean, he's only out there to get revenge. Luckily, I want Nemesis turned into tomato paste. Well, I mean, at least after his latest scheme. And what's his latest scheme? Well, using that 100 million they stole from that diamond, he was able to join an exclusive club of the world's richest people. He's gonna rob them. But where are they? Epstein's second island. Mark Millar, why do you do this? I would say that this is nearly Quentin Tarantino level of rewriting history to make it almost like a fantasy world where tragedies that happen can be altered so justice is served. However, making another island with more victims is a choice? Weird, but I'll try not to think too hard about it and just be happy that Nemesis is finally targeting people who deserve it. So they're on the island, and Mark Millar, you psycho. This is a cool setup again. We have an undercover Batman and Robin on an island full of the most ultra mega elite in the world who have famous Hollywood actors and actresses turning tricks, along with more sinister things going on. And over the weekend, they're going to be pulling a heist and robbing each and every single one of these pricks, while hiding their true intentions and intermingling with their victims. This is a great setup, and I'm super excited to see what's gonna happen. But the Spec Ops Revengers are here now and killed all the serving staff and have taken their places with the help of illusion tech. So I guess Sang isn't all good, and that nurse is just okay with killing somewhat innocent people. I mean, they're just here serving, but also they're serving evil people. I've come back around on this. Okay, yeah, kill him. Oh, and Nemesis is headed into the cow room. Wait, what's he gonna do? Oh, the camera's cut off and a guard is sent to check in on him and immediately is shot through the head. Murder is bad, but what he was gonna do might have been worse. All he actually did was get into his suit and is now holding the rich guy who ran the environmentalist ball earlier as a hostage. He tells everyone what's up and demands they transfer their wealth in crypto to his wallet. He then gives a 5-minute speech about how some people here enjoy zoos. And he asks if anyone is interested in investing the rest of their money into his next scheme. A crypto zoo. The hostage guy asks if it's a scam and Nemesis immediately splatters his brain all over the ground, and the Spec Ops people drop their disguises and start blasting him and disarming Nemesis's detonator, which would have blown up the island. Now, I'm conflicted here. I do want Nemesis to die, but also the people on this island should die too, so I kind of wish they got Nemesis after he got away. But this is the reality we live in. If you really thought that Nemesis was gonna die here, well, I'm sorry, but please go get yourself tested at your nearest physician because you have a serious case of the stupid brain. Rookie has been missing for a while and he's been hacking into the servers with video files of all the people staying on the island and what they've been doing. Surprisingly, in the comic, it seems that all the victims of the island are animals instead of what you'd think when imagining Epstein's Island #2. Nemesis says that he'll spare them if they kill the Spec Ops Revenge people, and before anyone uses their brain to solve this, they start killing the anti-Nemesis task force. Truly groundbreaking social commentary that the world's richest only care about their self-interest and will let a mass murderer go to save their status. So Nemesis then pulls out the posts he's chained down to and uses them to kill a guy. And then he chases down Sang into the jungle, where he proceeds to demean him before wasting the poor guy. Nemesis and Rookie then escape using Elon Musk's electric spaceship before blowing up the island. Hey, have you seen The Penguin yet? If not, and you care about spoilers, then skip to this time ahead. So with that warning, you probably know what's coming. Rookie's time is up. Part of the price Nemesis has to pay back to his old master who gave him his body is the heart of someone he cares for. In his own way, this is his most loving act, which is still wicked as shit. He's basically Dumbledore raising Harry Potter to die. Sickening. I mean, look at him, he's all tied up like Jason Todd. In the end, Nemesis says he cares about him, but he can't be partners with a pussy because he's crying and begging for his life just before biting it. We learn a little bit more about Nemesis' old master, whose name I have left out so far because I'm scared of reading it. Baba. Well, he's thousands of years old and feeds on human misery. Interesting. So he's like a more savage Ra's al Ghul, I guess. Lastly, Nemesis lets us in on his next plan, to take over the entire world. The comic ending with a tease for his next appearance, Nemesis Forever. Frankly, this is better than him joining the fraternity because now he's the richest man in the world, and I think if he had planned out everything on his own with no help, he could have killed everyone in Big Game. Nemesis is an edgelord bastard of a character written by what seems to be a nice man, and honestly I can't think of any reason to hate Millar. I just hate the vile things he writes in his comics. There's the argument of separating art from the artist, but to an extent, I believe each piece of art, comics included, contain a piece of their author. Am I calling Mark Millar a sadistic genocidal maniac? No. But recently people in my Discord servers sent me this old interview with Grant Morrison, a titan of the comic world, who was his friend and helped their then pupil, Millar, get into the industry proper. Jumping to present day though, they are no longer friends, and there's different stories here and there as to why. However, the ones that come up the most are how Morrison had ghostwritten several stories for Millar over the years, and the biggest event was when Millar was sick one day, so Morrison wrote issue 28 of The Authority, and later publicly confirmed this, which pissed Millar off. Other stories talk about how their different political leanings might have split the two, alongside with how many people have labeled Millar as a sellout, bending backwards to Hollywood, while Morrison valued integrity more. In this Rolling Stone article from over a decade ago, I think the real reason is laid out plain and simple. And thank you to my Discord server, and specifically Eccentric Radiant. So, Morrison states basically how when they read the Justice League story, Identity Crisis, they were thinking to themselves something along the lines of, "What the fuck am I reading?" Citing the inclusion of horrific events like SA and superhero stories feels out of place and inappropriate. They also went on to talk about Alan Moore, critically acclaimed writer who hates every single adaptation of his work. He had his name removed from Zack Snyder's Watchmen. Morrison said how Moore's story include plenty of SA. From my understanding, their point is that in the heightened world of superheroes, maybe, or especially under the big two, some acts like graphic violence, sex, and SA feel out of place, and to Morrison are unwelcome in the romantic genre of superheroes. Certain figures like Millar popularizing these gross themes and acts within comics is what started or was the death of modern superhero comics as we know them. I know some of you out there are going to say how superhero comics should be allowed to explore these themes, and to that I say sure, but perhaps don't just include them for a shock. Maybe only include them if you want to dive deeper into the topic and have something more to say than,
Hey look, it's superheroes and they're doing a fucking atrocious thing.
A clear example of this is Millar's tenure on The Authority. After the first 12 issues of The Authority written by someone, Mark Millar takes the reins, and the immediate tonal shift is so fucking breakneck it took me by shock at first. The Authority is a violent superhero team that exists in a violent and unforgiving world, but they still go after justice and try to save the world, valuing the majority over the minority. However, once Millar got his greasy hands on it, everyone starts talking like a fucking frat guy, and there's more racism and sexism immediately. And to what end? Well, because the superhero world is edgy, duh. That's right. This isn't Marvel, this isn't DC, this is Mark motherfucking Millar, baby. And if you haven't noticed by now, I think things like this are poisoning the well of comics, which are moving more into mature themes as they become more of a niche medium, despite the efforts of films and Marvel rivals driving up sales at the moment. We can see the effects of this on the bigger companies like Marvel. Recently I read the vampire event Blood Hunt, and to my surprise, there were two versions of it. The regular comic and the new Red Band edition, which just includes more gore. I mean, it's cool, I guess, as it means that younger readers can still access these stories, but it feels like more so a practice specifically done to sell more books. More blood and carnage equals more money, I suppose. Honestly, Mark Millar can't be accredited solely for the decline of comics, but he definitely lubed up the slide before kicking the fucker down it, prioritizing the monetary side of the products instead of the message it's putting out into the world. Nemesis is just a byproduct of this change in the comic book landscape that's been going on over the past couple decades, spearheaded by Millar, and I think this quote from Grant Morrison sums up the whole situation nicely. The interviewer asked Grant this regarding Millar.
He still lives in Glasgow. Is there a chance of bumping into him?
There's a very good chance of running into him, and I'm hoping I'm going 100 miles an hour when it happens.
Fuck anybody that's talking down on me. Wanna talk tough on me, better try me. Whole life you and me, count on me, it's all on me. I can do that shit lightly. Whole life you and me, count me out from the jump.